Hi guys, and welcome to episode 27 of Culture Talks. So we're delighted and absolutely excited today to be joined with our good friend, Mr. Glenn Oakes. And Glenn, if you don't already know, is an individual who many LinkedIners, especially from NI and a lot further afield as well, will know who he is, and they'll see his escapades and his fantastic content basically on LinkedIn. For you don't know him, his company is called Caboodle Fundraising, and essentially, my understanding, and we're going to learn a little bit more about it, is that Glenn helps non-profit organisations who are doing fantastic work to access the fundraising, the funding that is available to them, and it's the experience and wealth of knowledge that Glenn has in many different fields, just through life experience, work experience, and working with some amazing charities is just fantastic. Glenn, thank you so much for coming on today. Really genuinely appreciate it, and we've been excited to do it for a wee while now. And even just the pre-conversation we've had there before we hit record, I know it's going to be a good conversation because it always is. Do you want to give a wee bit of an intro to yourself and explain a wee bit more about what you do, and a wee bit about yourself?
Brilliant. Yes, great to see you guys again. Yeah, I'm a fundraising consultant, stroke mentor, stroke sometimes freelancer. So I would do a bit of freelance work for some of the larger organizations like Children in Need, and I help coordinate the Poppy Appeal. But generally speaking, my kind of allegiance lies with smaller charities and helping smaller non-profit organizations to generate sustainable income, and quite often also unrestricted income. A lot of smaller organizations rely on a narrower range of income streams, such as maybe paid for services for the government or grant giving trusts and statutory funding, which I can help with. And I do a lot of grant applications, but also helping organizations to reach out to, embrace and galvanize the support of people within their community. So helping them with the communications, working out what the vision and the aims and the core values of organizations are, so that they can sell it to people and help other individuals understand just what they're doing. Fundraising is all about painting a picture in the mind of an individual as to the impact and the difference which they can make through their donation. So a lot of it's helping them with their messaging, good, clear messaging, and strong cases for support, which can help people understand the difference which they can make. Helping organizations to find the income streams which are a good fit for them. Different charities have different strengths and weaknesses, so it's finding what is going to work best, and that could be a blend of, it could be fundraising events, encouraging people to leave legacies in their will when they die, corporate giving, corporate partnerships, all sorts of things, and then ensuring that the communications are good and that their supporters are well looked after and give a superior experience. It costs about 5 times more to replace a donor than it does to just nurture that support and steward them well, so that they keep coming back for more, but also that you can give them the opportunity to get a taster of other different ways that they can help. So for example, I know of one lady who started off as a £5. She gave a £5 donation, and she was looked after and supported, and she was invited along to visit the charity and given her news sheet. And eventually she became a £5 monthly regular committed donor. And then that shifted on to her doing an ab sale to generate income. She started up a volunteer fundraising committee, which I think at its height went on to raise over £20,000 a year. And then when she died, she left, I can't recall, but tens of thousands of pounds in her will. So it's all about helping them take an individual on a journey. So that's a big chunk of what I do, and helping them with strategic planning, project planning, and then hands-on support to help individuals deliver projects and mentor them along the way, so I can then stand back and leave people to do their own thing.
Excellent. There's a lot even more to that than I had known before we started this conversation. We've learned what you've been doing kind of along the way through the conversations that we've had, but there is so much more to that. And one of the things that was stuck in my head was you mentioned vision and values. How important is it? I mean, obviously you've said about trying to bring suppose, customers essentially to the charity to become supporters and donors. How important is the culture to the charity to achieve that?
Absolutely prime, absolutely prime. And from my point of view, quite often I'm talking with smaller organisations who aren't outward looking, who are relying on funding. But when you want to reach out to the community, to impress people in the community, and to open your doors and make people aware that you're a fundraising organisation and you're giving people the opportunity to help, that's not just about the fundraiser. The fundraiser is kind of more of a facilitator. It takes everyone within the organisation to have a shift in their mindset, so that everyone is thinking in terms of, well, big prime example, you need to know the ethics. When is it ethically appropriate to approach a person who uses the services of a charity? How do you approach them, and what is the correct way? And often those decisions don't come from, well, they rarely otherwise come from the fundraiser. They come from someone else within the care side of things who can advise. It can be simple as, I know a guy who likes the work we do, and he's very, very wealthy and owns a company, and that just helps you to open a door. So yeah, it's extremely important that everybody in the organisation becomes more outlooking. And I would do training in the past with people and their culture. And some charities are a wee bit apprehensive about it, but it works wonderfully. The enthusiasm is really something special, because people are really proud of the charities which they work for. And when you move towards community fundraising and encouraging others to support, that's all about being proud and shouting from the top of the hills, we are doing good work and you can come with us. So yeah, it's bringing everybody with you and not leaving it to the fundraiser. So it's extremely important culture in that respect.
Glenn, I think we've heard and we've heard a unique way of how you get into this, but could you explain for anyone watching who doesn't already know, like, how did you get into what you do? Where did your journey? Again, we heard a unique version of this, so entirely up to you. I would love you to say it exactly the way you did before. I don't know. But how did you end up starting Caboodle fundraising, and why did you find your passion, or how did you find your passion, should I say, in helping organizations to achieve their best results?
It's funny, and before we started talking, we were talking, before you clicked record, we were talking about how one small thing and one small decision can take your life in a completely different direction. Yeah. I think for me, it all boiled down to when I was about 16 years of age. I would have, I don't even like to tell, I find it, I struggle to get the words out, to be honest. But I would have been into substance misuse. Glue sniffing was my thing particularly, and quite serious. I had 3 groups of friends, and each of them would have indulged in it, and I used to move about between the 3 groups of friends. So it was something which was a really quite significant part of my life for about 1.5 years. One day, myself and my mate had, and I remember he had 10 pints of homebrew beer, and I had a 10-glass bottle of cream of the barley whiskey. And we went into a little church hall where we saw the lights on, not intent on causing havoc, but, to be a little bit mischievous. And they were really, really nice to us. The people, the youth workers in that, were very, very welcoming. And because they treated me so well and with such respect, I went back again with another group of friends and got into it. And that led on to me becoming involved in voluntary work and youth work, and ended up running that youth club. I started up, was one of the founders of the Lisburn District Youth Council, and then the chairperson of Lisburn District Youth Council. And I remember one of our in fact, it was our first fundraising campaign, and it was to raise money for Catholic youth clubs and Protestant youth clubs to get together and integrate and do sporting activities and stuff like that. But we didn't have any money, so much so, or so little so, that our stickers for the street collection were big rolls of freezer stickers, which we bought the night before we were going to have our first Flag Day in Lisburn. So we all unraveled these stickers and put LYC on them in felt tip, Lisburn Youth Council. And we thought, like, nobody is going to be into this. But there were, and we went out the next day, and on the Saturday, we had our street collection. And I remember standing at the wall at the top of Bow Street in Lisburn and looking down and just seeing a sea of all of these places with our badges on them. I felt proud. It just felt really good. And that feeling kind of stayed in my head. And I got involved in youth work, and I drifted into retail, and I was also a sales rep. And then I packed it all in and cleared off and went traveling for a year. And during my travels, I spent 3 months in Bangladesh doing voluntary work. And that kind of made me think, I want to do something that's going to leave a bit of a legacy behind, that's going to have some sort of an impact. I was very uplifted by the people of Bangladesh, and I came back with a different outlook and thought, well, what sort of skills do I have? And I had studied marketing and business studies, and it just lent itself best to doing fundraising. And I was very lucky. Back in the day, there was an ACE post, which meant if you'd been unemployed for a year, there were certain jobs you could get with the government paid the salary. So I got a job as an assistant fundraiser with Disability Action, and worked with them for a year, and then worked with a deaf charity, and went on to become the head of fundraising with Gingerbread. And that was the start of my journey. So yeah, it was an act of kindness, I believe, which brought it all about and sparked it in the very, very first place.
And that's one of the things of recent times that had really sparked our interest was your hashtag kindness works. And yes, through that, I mean, you've put us onto so many people through this. I think it's basically came from this hashtag, if I'm maybe right in saying that, from you started doing that. And it's been amazing the amount of people that we've got to meet through you, mainly from America. But like, it brings in the whole new world of different people who are thinking in such a different way, so positive and looking at life so different. How have you found that? I mean, is that a recent thing that has come across, or is that something you've been doing for a long while and we just haven't known of it?
I get a lot of satisfaction from my first hour with someone, just talking to an organization. And that first hour, not because necessarily I have any great wisdom, but just because I'm looking at things through a fresh pair of eyes. Quite often I can give advice which is really has the potential to have really very significant and positive impact. That gives me a tremendous buzz. Not always, but I probably 4 or 5 meetings a week with people from non-profit organizations, just to help them with their communications or help them to find out what the best way for them to generate money is. And it's just fascinating. I love travel. I love different countries and different cultures. And I get to speak to some of the most amazing people, like Trinity Heavens, who is this dude from Africa, who has a social enterprise which works with young people, providing IT and design services internationally in the UK and in the States. And heartbreaking stuff from some people from other countries who are just on their knees dealing with this pandemic and get no support from anyone. So, yep, I get a bit of a buzz out of that. I gotta say, with Kindness Works, I'm not setting myself up as being any more kind than anyone else. I genuinely am not. And a lot of my posting is about reminding myself to behave myself and to conduct myself in a good way. But I believe that it does work. And it works because it makes you feel good. And it has all sorts of spin-offs. Like, for example, and I've met Nahala Summers. He's just a wonderful person. The culture of kindness. my meeting with her led to her interviewing me and me interviewing her and her putting me in contact with 3 potential clients. And I'm now helping her with a funding application which she's involved with. She's now the guest speaker on the wonderful sign-ups for an international networking event. So if you're nice to people, they're nice back to you. It's pretty fundamental. And I'm not suggesting you go in with expectation of that, but that, and you guys know it as well as anybody, that's what makes the world go round. Just look after each other. And for me, there's a bit of a polarization of opinion on LinkedIn. There's people who are constantly negative and constantly, oh, the government should have done that, we should have done this differently. And I think that grinds people down and drags them down eventually. And I try and counteract that with lighter, fluffier stuff and more positive stuff, which I think is what we need, because, you know, culturally, we need to be kind and we just need to look after each other. And I think it makes life a lot easier for everyone.
Yeah, like we've had, this year has been, there's no point in going on about it, but this year has genuinely probably been the most challenging year for everyone. Combined, you know, as the masses, we've never known anything like this, and people have felt lost, still do. Businesses have closed, some businesses are continuing to close in that process, and it is really a time where I think, and I suppose what I'm getting at is the Kindness Works hashtag. Anyone that we have been in contact with through you, or as a result of following your hashtag, you know, people are so passionate about kindness. And Nahala, I was lucky enough, Seán, I think Seán wasn't able to, Seán, you still have to jump on that call with Nahala, but I was lucky to be part of her podcast, and the passion that Nahala has for kindness genuinely touched me. Like, and she isn't alone in that. You know, Nahala, for instance, for anyone who doesn't know, Nahala doesn't take monetary donations. She takes gifts of kindness, whether it's sharing some of your free water to your taps for her bottle of water that she needs, or, you know, sharing food or a place to stay. And she's going on these amazing journeys on it. Is it an any cycle? Any old cycle?
An ellipto bike. It's like a standing bike with no seat, so it's a bit like a cross trainer.
Yeah, like essentially.
But yes, you're right. Absolutely incredible. Sorry, go for it.
Sorry, there's a slight delay, so we're both being polite, but we're cutting across each other because of the technology. But that's about the point. The point I suppose I'm making is, you know, and I think I know the answer, but have you found that just using that hashtag, there have been people coming out of the woodwork being so passionate about the importance of this? And I can tell you that for me, just having that hashtag on a post that I've done once or twice, for me in general, has added more importance on the topic that I'm discussing, because if it's centered around kindness, I feel there's almost a responsibility to go further than maybe I would have went with a different topic. You know, I feel that I need to do justice to it, because I want people to feel it. And that's why it's such a powerful hashtag. And you don't come across like many movements essentially like that very often. But what's your experience been? And I know you already mentioned that you've been in touch with a lot of people, but have you seen a different shift as a result of highlighting that hashtag Kindness Works?
Yeah, and I think you've hit the nail on the head. I don't want it. It's not my hashtag. It really must be something which is shared, and I want it to be a movement. I want it to feel like a movement, and I want people to really buy into it, and they are. And I'm tremendously chuffed when I see, and I have, you know, only started using it about 6 weeks or so ago. You know, I've seen several people who are now using the hashtag on their post. It's really important to me that people, you just think about it, you know, have it in the back of your head. Am I doing the right thing and the good thing and the honourable thing? Because it feels good to be honourable. So yeah, it has opened up conversations with people. I have talked to numerous people now who kind of just buy into it, and it's a very simple philosophy. It's just about, if you see someone doing something kind, share it. It's about proving to people through example and proof the benefits of being kind. And there are lots and lots of benefits which you guys probably know more so than I, if organizations work with each other in a kind, effective way, then they become more productive. They're happier in the workplace. Absenteeism's reduced. So yeah, I believe, and maybe I'm too close to it, but I believe it's the way of the future. And I think people culturally, nationally, in organizations and families everywhere, once they buy into it and the simplicity of it, to just go for it and do it. I had someone who phoned me up there quite recently, and the reason they phoned me up was because one comment which I had passed, which was, you're not being a burden if you contact someone for help. By contacting someone for help to just chat about your difficulties, you'll make that other person feel good, because you feel as if you're doing something important and something constructive by helping others. So just reach out for help. That's as important as it is in giving it. It's a kind of a two-way flow, but it makes both parties feel good.
That's something we've written back and forward sometimes in a few posts from different things that we've written on, that there is that feel-good factor that sometimes you feel nearly. But we offer out support wherever we can, really, as you said there, and it feels kind of selfish, because it feels like you're trying to add something to yourself, nearly, because there is such a good feeling from it, being able to help someone, and that sort of, it's like JP's favorite words are intrinsic motivation. It gives you something more. It gives you a bit of extra energy. You've done something for someone, and it just works so well. Just on the kindness works hashtag.
So
I think the language that you use is so important, and this is one of the things that we say within the culture of organizations. How you speak to people is really, really important, that communication. And I think just by putting hashtag kindness works out, it just puts it in people's minds, and it's very active for two words put together in a hashtag. It's a big action word. And I think, like, even for us, and I'm sure you've done this for many people, what you've done for us, but the people you put us in contact with, that once we get to, like Jenny Haas, the lady you put us in contact with, we had an amazing conversation with her, talking for ages, and we could have went on longer, and we will talk again. And the power of people like that coming together, which you've done through this, the power of people coming together like that really can do so much. And God knows where this will go after this, when we all sort of, as we build relationships and move forward together, you are building a movement. So it is something to be really, really proud of. I think you've done great work in what you've done with it.
Well, there's all sorts of people all over the world. I think you guys know too. There's a big event in the States coming up tomorrow or the next day. What's it called? I can't remember.
Tomorrow, Kindfest USA, isn't it?
Kindfest USA, and it's also been apparent to me that there's another one, the hashtag Be the Ripple. The Ripple, which is, I can't remember if they're UK or US based as well. There are other people out there, and Be the Ripple is all about the ripple which you create when you do an act of kindness. You just don't know what else happens, and very often when you commit some sort of act of kindness, it inspires somebody else to do the same, and that kind of inspires somebody else to do the same. So yeah, there's a lot of it about. And dare anybody tell me it doesn't work? I've yet to hear people say, no, don't be doing that. That's not the way to do it. It is the way to do it. There's no evidence which suggests otherwise, and there's lots and lots of evidence which suggests, well, it makes you live longer for a start. We could talk about it for hours. There's lots of real concrete benefits, and it makes sense. Yeah. That's why people donate. There's only there's a few different reasons, but one of the major reasons that people give money, and this is kind of what made me think about all of this. What's it all about? Why do they do it? Just because it makes you feel good to be kind. Simple.
Yeah, there's a ripple that's interesting, because I think one of the examples we would always give is, it's like if you're out driving in the car and you stop to let somebody out from a side road, and then what you do is, I found this, you find that person will let the next person out, and that person lets the next person out, and there genuinely is some, people have called it the law of attraction, and it's whatever you believe, but there is something there. And I think you're right. I think it's important, and that's why I think it's such an important topic, because there are people, unfortunately, who are negative, and unfortunately, and maybe through no fault of their own, do gravitate to the miserable sort of thoughts, and for their own reasons and their own journeys, that's where they are in life, and hopefully they get past that. But what I find is the polar, you mentioned like polar opposite to something, I think whenever you speak so openly and passionately, which everyone we have contacted or been in contact with as a result of you, who speaks about kindness specifically in the workplace, in life, they're so passionate. And I think it's important as a topic to keep it going, simply because it drowns out any negativity. And let's face it, we need more positivity in the world right now with everything going on. And thankfully, with things hopefully taking a turn now with all these vaccines, and I hope that has an impact on businesses. That leaders are watching that and maybe have a little bit of hope that 2021, hopefully their business is still about, and hopefully, things will start getting better. And I hope that this is the beginning of the end of the negativity that we've all felt this year. But you know what I have to say, and just on the topic of kindness, the amount of support, especially here, because I feel like the world feels smaller as a result of this year, and that's definitely a positive to take from everything. But the support from you, the support from some amazing people within Northern Ireland and further afield, but specifically here where we live, the amount of support throughout this year that we have felt, and the kindness that we have felt, and there's no point in starting to rhyme off people, but some of the people who really stand out are the likes of Henry McCrory from Creative 3. There's you. Do you know what? When you have people like that here who invite you to events where, Henry and Chris from Creative 3 ran a sort of Friday afternoon call, and I've mentioned this many times throughout lockdown. I think they ran it for like 2 or 3 months, and you were just invited to go on and just share, grab it. I think they started off with pints, but it very quickly went to tea the next couple of weeks, and thankfully whatever way I fell, Seán wasn't able to jump onto it. A lot of times, I think so are hardly working, but so the thing about I found it was, for me and for our journey, that propped me up at the end of the week, because there was periods with, like everybody, who you just didn't know what the next week was going to hold. You didn't know if the books were going to be balanced as a result of everything. Our biggest client was in hospitality, so it was just on. But kindness was the thing that came from that for me, and I just think that what you're doing and so selflessly, look, anyone that knows your content, the engagement that you get, and I know there's a lot of work that's went into that and continues to go into that to make sure that those levels are there. But I suppose a slight shift, and you might kind of go back along the same narrative, but see anyone who maybe is starting out in business in general, or starting out and trying to get fundraising, or, anyone who's in business and are on social media, do you have any sort of tips? Do you have any tips on how they can maybe raise their profile, or how they can kind of promote themselves, or even be more kind on platforms like LinkedIn?
You're right. Henry's adorable, isn't he? He's just the loveliest man that I've ever met, to be absolutely honest. Such a gentleman. But we're all mentors. Every single one of us is a mentor. You can choose to be a mentor, you can choose to be a dementor. And even with yourself, like Monday, tiny little things. You put out a post on Monday, something about blah, 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 blah. Yeah, if you had a good day, keep that momentum going. And that stuck into my head, because I had a great day on Monday. Everything went very well. It was very productive. Everything fell into place. And it reminded me, don't go resting on your laurels on Tuesday, Glenn. Keep it going. So we're all mentors and sharing information. For me, the secret, well, there's two different types of people out there on LinkedIn, isn't there? And well, there's lots more than two, but the two main which produce content, we have to remember there's only about 1% of people who are on LinkedIn who actually produce content. So there's more opportunity out there than you possibly realize. Be yourself. It is your personal brand, so be yourself. And if that is that you want to keep it straight and just do business, fantastic, go with it. But if you've got another mission, go with it as well, because it will help your business side of things. I have posts which get pretty good engagement, it can be funny, or it can be encouraging kindness, or a whole range of different things. And then I have my own posts, which are more professionally focused on encouraging people to how to raise money, giving people information, giving charities information to help them generate income. Now, my fun, light-hearted, lowbrow posts get great high engagement. My professional posts do not do nearly as well, but they do much, much, much better if I didn't have the lighter touch posts bolstering them up and gaining support from people. So be yourself, be brave, use video. It's a game changer, and it is not difficult. The first video is scary. The second video is a bit scary. Before you know it, you fall into the swing of things. So I think video is extremely important, and give, and don't expect anything back. Engaging in other people's posts, positive content, not slagging them off, but positive content to support each other, because that's what it's all about. It's a big network of people supporting each other, and it works. I feel sad sometimes. I see people who put out posts all the time and get really, really low engagement. And I know why they get low engagement, because they just don't bother with anybody else. It's just all about them. So yeah, I would say, and have fun. I go on LinkedIn for fun. It's not work. I go on it for the crack, and I have great friends, which I take great pleasure in engaging with. So if you can get to the point where you're enjoying it and just being yourself, then I think you're going to be a winner.
I think it is important, and one of the things that JP had said there was about like the people, that support that we've had. I mean, our business, I don't know where we'd be if we didn't have the support that we've gained through people like yourself and Harry and everybody else on LinkedIn. Like it has been amazing for us, and we've said this over and over and over again. It's so good. But see, Watson, people like yourself and Aaron Watson on LinkedIn, it changes your perspective, and it opens a door for other people to be themselves, which is great as well. Because JP had told at the start, doing a video for me was honestly it was one of the biggest challenges I faced, actually putting myself in front of a video. And I'm not saying I'm amazing at it by any means, but I don't have the fear I had before. I will go on and do it. I might have to record it 5 or 6 times or whatever the case may be, but actually I go on and do it. Whereas JP would have you'd have been more like kind of happy to do that. I always kind of push JP to the front and say he can be the face of Core Impact, and I'll sit in the background, but he never kind of lets me away with that. But it is, it's so important, and it's so important to interact with people as well and building these connections. And one of our things JP said, like, the world feels smaller. Like it really, really does. And some of the groups that we've been involved in just of recent times, like the sign-ups and the one Paul Barber had invited us to, diversity and inclusion. Like one of the things that we really, really felt in terms of kindness works, and this is something we promote throughout organizations, but one of the things we felt ourselves within the groups was that psychological safety, that you do feel welcome, you do feel that you can share. And I think it's important to allow people to do that. So moving forward, I think, was not even moving forward so much, but even just looking back, I think I've changed so much in the ways that I approach things, and being more open to being myself, because we all do have that barrier. I think we are sort of feeling that somebody's going to judge you, and yeah, they are going to judge you, but it's how much you really care about it is important. So like you're
a lucky man. Yeah.
You're lucky man. Sorry, one of the things came to mind. Sorry, I'm interrupting you, but your song, was it In the Woods? Was it Bare Necessities? Sorry, it just came to mind as I was saying that. Amazing. My kids absolutely loved it. The amount of times I had to play that in the car.
I love that.
Do you know what? It's the weirdest thing. I'm going to tell you what. You're a lucky man that you've sussed not to be too concerned about what people think. It took me 50 years. I don't give a fiddler's what people think. I know people think I am a complete idiot. The LinkedIn whisperer, that is a big turnoff for a lot of people who want to keep the platform formal. And I'm okay with that. Live and let live. Let people do their own thing.
Yeah, scroll past if you don't like it.
But yes, it's, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And that's what I say, just scroll on past. I think one of my posts, it was as simple as this. You don't have to shout about it. You don't have to complain about it. If you don't like drinking warm diarrhea, just don't do it. Don't tell everybody about it or talk about it. Just get on with it. and it's a wonderful thing. Like I have a lady who has requested that I do a poem. So on Saturday morning, I have a poem which I'm going to be reading. And people are going to look at that and go, what is this guy on about? Like, what is he doing? What is he doing this for on LinkedIn? I'm doing it because somebody is really happy. And when I sent her the poem and she showed the poem to her daughter, she said that her daughter really loved it. So I'm sticking it out there. And if people love it, great. And if there's no interest, just work away, do your own thing. It's all good.
Good for you. Look, I suppose, look, I said to you before we started, we try and keep the half an hour because our conversations do go on a lot, and I want to be respectful of your time. But I suppose what I would love to know is what do you believe the future holds for you? You know, do you have anything coming up that you're excited for? Do you see an avenue that's opened up that you want to go down? And obviously share what you want to share. If you have any secrets, don't let them go. But you know, what's the future hold for Glen Oaks? Caboodle's one element, I imagine. What do you feel the future is for you?
Well, my organisation is going to shift. One of my great frustrations is meeting with CEOs of charities, falling in love with the organisation, and they can't pay me because they don't have any money. And sometimes they do a bit of pro bono work, and sometimes I just walk away, and that's not a nice feeling. So I'm going to change the organisation into becoming a community interest company. And what becomes a community interest company, that means I can go out then and apply to the like of organisations like the big lottery fund, the community fund, and getting money from them to pay me to provide my services for free for those smaller organisations which make a tremendous impact within their communities, but don't have the income to give them the confidence for sustainability and the money for them to develop and improve and reach out to more people. So moving to becoming a non-profit organisation is going to make me be able to help more organisations out there. And also giving them a wider appeal. So I have now Dave Toner's going to come on board, and he's going to be helping with branding for non-profit organisations. You may have seen the most beautiful logo which he produced for us for Aruba House. And also Ruth Young's coming on board because she, as you know, is a specialist in social media. So it's going to help Caboodle Fundraising provide a one-stop shop. And we're now reaching out to find other associates which can help us with website design and things of that nature. I may move back a little bit into managerial and bring on some people to actually do the hands-on work. I suspect it'll get to that point, but I'm also looking at another business idea which has the potential to generate good income for me. And I'm quite uplifted about that and enthusiastic about that because it'll also enable me to help other people to develop good income for themselves. So non-profit organisation and try and get a few quid in from myself for my retirement.
Brilliant. Excellent. So positive, Glenn. So a lot to look forward to then. So we look forward to seeing a little more from Caboodle. Could you you sort of kept Caboodle kind of in a way quiet on LinkedIn? Like I didn't know who Caboodle were until recent times. I knew who Glen Oaks was, but not Caboodle. Was there any reason for that, or was it just something that you had a personal profile and you just kind of went with it?
It's Henry. Just listening to Henry and watching Henry's posts.
Right.
And yeah, a couple of things have dropped with me, and one of them was like I really needed to get more serious about producing content for Caboodle Fundraising and letting people know who Caboodle Fundraising are. I love doing the personal brand thing. I find it more difficult. But over the last 3 or 4 weeks, maybe 5 weeks, I've started talking about Caboodle Fundraising and people are engaging with me. I haven't invited people to follow them, but I now have about 50 followers. And once I have everything lined up, I'll then start to, go out and find my potential clients and invite them to follow Caboodle Fundraising. So yeah, I just never got around to it. But now I have, and that's a big important element moving forward, is to raise the profile of the business, and not just me mucking about all the time.
Believe me, there's a
not
lot
that I do, and I don't muck about all the time. You may be surprised. My target is to do 2 straight fundraising posts a week. I try not to muck about during the week and keep my lighter touch posts to the weekend. But I get business from it. That's the thing. It's the lurkers out there who you don't even know exist that all of a sudden come out of the blue and say, "Can we have a telephone conversation, Glenn?" So yeah, I'm going to put a bit more profile, and that's why I've got great people like Ruth who can help me with my social media, and get me on track. And I'm now starting to dabble with other platforms. I'm using YouTube a little bit more and starting to dip into Facebook, and even tempted with TikTok. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I've lots of exciting stuff ahead. Yeah.
I think you'd be excellent at TikTok. I think that because I because of Ruth, I downloaded TikTok and was sort of look, you fall into these bloody black holes of video after video after video after video, but there are some really valuable channels on there and content. Like Ruth is fantastic stuff that she's putting out there about social media. And I mean, she sent me a few messages here and there and go, "Here, change this, change that." It's very, very helpful that way, and I can imagine she's going to add a massive amount of value to Caboodle moving forward. I suppose, how can people, because obviously, as I said, I want to be respectful of your time, and we're over the time we said we would take out of your day, but where can people find more information about you and Caboodle?
Well, follow me on LinkedIn. Glenn Oakes is the name. My website is caboodle-fundraising.com. Instant message me. I will speak to anyone. I don't think I've ever turned down an invite to chat to someone, and I love speaking with non-profit organizations with no agenda. One of my ethos is I have never asked for business. I don't ask for business. I give and give until I've given enough. And then it's up to you to decide whether you think that I'm a good person to go with and the time is right. So yeah, you can give me a ring. My number's on my LinkedIn page. So yeah, I'm always happy to hear from anybody.
Yeah, well, what I'll do, Glenn, is I'll put some information on the screen here and maybe at the start of the video as well, so people can find you. Most people will already know you. But for those in our network that we put this out to, or even just if you're coming natively from the likes of YouTube, because we have our own YouTube channel, reach out. Glenn is a fantastic guy. I'll put some information below. Before Seán sort of finishes off, was there anything you wanted to ask? Was there any questions you had out there, or people, anything specifically you wanted to promote? But if you do, please share it. But Glenn, before you do and Seán finishes off, I wanted to thank you very much for your time. Because I always really take a lot from every time we speak to you. You have a wealth of knowledge, and you're just a genuinely nice person. And I think our journey, and there's only a few people I'll say about this, but our journey genuinely in life, not even just in business, is more valuable for knowing you. And I think that with the way that you push the boundaries and the way that you don't really care, pushes us not to care so much what people think, and do maybe push an idea that we maybe wouldn't have pushed because we're afraid of what people will think. So thank you, and your kindness genuinely, from my experience, knows no bounds. I can't wait. I hope that we can work together in some sort of context. But you know what? See if we even don't. I'm just delighted to know you and to engage with your content and the support. I just want to thank you again for the support that you give us on a daily basis, not even just commenting or liking, and actively, and you've mentioned this before, like putting genuine comments underneath posts, because it's easy to say this is nice or a great post or whatever, and that's nice as well, but you genuinely take on board what we've put out there, and I feel that each and every time that you comment, whether it's sending us a private message. I just genuinely value your friendship, and I just wanted to thank you and use this platform to do that. So thank you very much.
Well, that's very touching and kind. And I get back. I get back from you guys and anybody, everyone else who I engage with. The one thing which I think's coming, and I hope is going to be extremely successful, is Synapse. Synapse, as you guys know well, is it's a US-based networking organization. They have about 40 hubs over in the States, and they're now starting to become increasingly active over here in Northern Ireland, the UK, and I hope also Ireland, we're going to nudge them towards that direction as well. I would encourage people to check out Synapse if they want. I did the first presentation, the first international presentation to them. So if you go on to my YouTube page, which I now have, you can find it there. But yeah, I would encourage people to become involved with Synapse. And the clever charities will keep their ears open when I say Synapse, each of their hubs sponsors and adopts a charity. That charity gets the forum to share with people what the work which they do, and that hub then generates on an ongoing basis income for that charity or non-profit. So I would encourage people who want to grow their contacts throughout the UK or in the States to come along to Synapse Hubs meetings. You can find them also on LinkedIn. Yeah, so that's another positive thing for people to do as well. And I think they're going to get quite big, and I'm looking forward to being part of their journey too. And I know you guys are as well. You've been to a couple of meetings, so yeah, hook up with Synapse.
Yep, definitely, Glenn. And as I said, just part of the Synapse group was one of those groups that just really made us feel so welcome. Just that psychological safety, as I said before, loved it. So we're looking forward to where that journey will take us. I just want to say, like what JP said there, absolutely 100% second all of that. Your breath of fresh air. I think you said about the mucking about posts. Them mucking about posts are adding value to people because they put a smile on their face, and you can't give any more value to people than that. If you can make them smile on your Saturday or Sunday or whatever day it is, then 100% amazing. So then, thank you very much. Thank you for everything, and thank you for coming on and chatting to us today. And thank you for everyone else for listening to this episode. And remember, engage, enable, and empower.